Hello everyone, welcome. Today I want to continue with my lecture, talk. I like the word talk. Lecture sounds a bit formal. Continue with my talk about how to forgive and forget. If you didn't see my previous lecture or talk on the subject, then you really ought to, because this is part 2. And I said that there are 2 things that prevent you from forgiving and forgetting, which is what we need to do. Have you heard someone say that if you haven't forgotten, it means you haven't really forgiven? If you haven't forgotten, it means you haven't really forgiven. So let's start with that. That's very important. If you still have a memory of what someone did to you, what they said to you, how they looked at you, something, that memory, which you revisit or which resurfaces, and it will keep resurfacing until you truly forgive. When you truly forgive, it begins to fade away until one day it's like it never even happened. Okay? Which I know that's true because I have experienced that myself. And to have it fade away so that it's like it never happened. And it doesn't mean pushing it under, pushing it down, suppressing, repressing, pretending that it never happened. It doesn't mean that. It just means that it becomes a non-issue. It's no longer important. And it fades away. And what keeps it alive? And incidentally, when that memory stays alive because of resentment, that's what keeps it alive. Then it will also color your whole life, and it will affect your relationship with everyone, especially with your partner, and especially with your kids. So it's very important to forgive and forget. Okay? And the way you do that, really and truly do it, is by letting go of the resentment. Yesterday I talked about resentment, what it is. And I said that it's a very small, it's an ambitious movement. Let me begin with a little story. It will help to illustrate what I'm talking about. 2 little girls were walking with their father. They were out for a walk in the country, a walk in nature. Each had their father's hand, so there was one little daughter on one side and one little daughter on the other side, and the 3 of them were walking. And a little puppy was also going with them. Well, all of a sudden, the little puppy went scrambling ahead, and the little puppy scrambled over an edge that was going down, a rocky edge with gravel. And the little puppy's feet began to slip in the gravel, and the puppy went down, down, down. Okay? Slipping and sliding all the way down. One little girl immediately let go of her father's hand and rushed after the puppy. And she rushed onto that down-sloping gravel, and her feet went out from under her, and then she went sliding and all the way down. Sliding and tumbling and rolling over all the way down. Okay? But the other little girl, somehow she just held on to her father's hand. She didn't let go. And she was safe. See? Well, they both went down. Carefully, they went down a different way on a path down to the bottom. And the little puppy was there, and it was okay. It was just a little bit shaken up, but the puppy was okay. And he was wagging his tail again when they came to get him. And the little girl was okay, too. Okay, she had a few bruises and a couple of little cuts here and there from rolling on the gravelly side of the hill. But she was okay, too. Okay? But I just want you to see that one little girl, there was an impulse, a hasty impulse to go. And the other little girl held on to her father's hand. Okay? So you see the difference. Well, likewise, we in life, something tempts us. See, I'm not talking about moving toward an opportunity thoughtfully, see, and properly and with the right timing, moving toward an opportunity. See, what happens to some people is that they've moved ambitiously, angrily, resentfully, excitedly toward things in their life, and things haven't worked out. That because of the improper movement, the improper energy, the improper motivation, the improper timing. Or they did get what they wanted, but then they had guilt and conflict over it because of their attitude, their resentful, angry attitude of stepping over other people to get it. You see what I mean? Or they did what maybe their parent asked them not to do, and so they had conflict over it. So because of all the things not working out and all the conflict, they eventually become afraid of moving. So then they just sit there and they procrastinate. See? And they don't know how to move intuitively, and so they're always thinking, well, what if this, and what if that, and what if this, and what if that, and all the time goes by, and they never get it done. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is that when there's some kind of a temptation, and then we move away from our calm center of dignity, we move away from love, from which we should flow, from wisdom, from understanding, from which we could flow. See? When we move away from that impulsively, excitedly, ambitiously, angrily, greedily, hurriedly, see? Well, then it doesn't work out. So there's a way of living and moving and having your being that is calm and that flows from reason, flows from principle, flows from patience, and then it leads to a life of success without conflict. See, you have the success, but without conflict, and even more success because your timing is right. All of that, you see. So now let's look at resentment one more time, and I want you to see that resentment. You never thought of resentment as being ambition before, had you? But it is. See, it's ambition. Ambition to do something on your own. But it's worse than that, because it's also, it's moving away from love. See, it's one thing to move excitedly, but it's another thing to move resentfully, to step away from love, to step away from your Father's hand, to step away from principle. And what is principle? Principle is not to resent other people. Principle is to do what's right. See, principle is not to covet with jealousy what other people have. See, principle is not trying to get something for nothing. See, so you see, principle is all of those things. And when you move from principle and from love, from patience, then all your actions are right. See? But when you move resentfully, you're stepping away from your lodestar, from your calm center. Okay? Now the other thing that you need to see, this is important for you to see this, and that is that, or at least to hear it, and then see it, is that human being, everything we do should be from love. See, God created the universe out of love. See? And He made everything. The molecules, the atoms to molecules, light, space, time, stars, planets, the earth, and then the waters, and the clouds, and the land, and the trees, and the flowers, and the plants, and the fruit, and the vegetables. He made them all, and then He made the animals, and the fish, and He made humans. But the human being is the crowning glory of creation. It's the very end. See, it's the end of all of the creation in the material realm. But then that human being, into that crown jewel of creation, He breathed life. Okay? And this child of God, see, part heaven, part earth, part material, part spiritual, would then be able to enjoy a life of adventure and discovery and awe and wonder and joy in God's wonderful, in the wonderful kingdom and garden and earth that He created. You see? But it all began with love. Everything was made with love, and then the human being was made with love, and the human being was made to love. That's why He gave us freedom, so that we could love, so we could choose one way or the other way, so we could love Him or not love Him. But now, if you love what is right, if you lean toward what is right, you kind of like right and truth, principle, see? And you really don't want to hate other people. You don't want to resent other people, okay? You want to be patient with other people, all of that, okay? And you want to do what God's will is. He's your Father, see? Well, then, whatever you do then, see, you're always checking with Father, always checking with conscience, always checking with your intuition, always checking with conscience. It's always delicately accompanying you, so as you move, see, you move gracefully and lightly, see, not ambitiously and angrily and excitedly. Well, thus, everything you do is an extension of love. See, it was love from the beginning, and it continues as love, as you now express, see, the will of the Father, which is not to resent other people, to acknowledge Him in all your ways, to be grateful for all the good things that you have, and to marvel at all the things that He made, see, and not to resent other people. See how simple that is? So it's a continuation of love, an extension of love. You see? So everything you do has love in it. See? St. Augustine said, love God and then do what you will. And then when the temptation comes along, see, somebody is cruel, somebody looks at you in a mean way, somebody says something about you that's not true, see, somebody takes something of yours, or they offer some kind of something that's not quite proper, see, or other kids come along and say, hey, let's go do this, even though your dad said not to, or your mom said not to, see. Temptation is there. See, when you incline toward what is good, then you kind of touch bases again with what you know in your heart. And you see there's something not quite right about that temptation, so you just don't go that way. It's very simple. You just don't. Okay? Everything is with love. But when you break away, when you're tempted to break away from love, then everything you do has no love in it. See, the only love only comes from God. Human beings can't really love. Okay, you can yearn for something good and true. See, and you can appreciate. Okay, especially appreciate God and yearn for His truth, yearn for Him. See, that you can do. But as far as loving other people, about the best you can do is be patient with them. Be honest with them. See, and be patient. See, that's what you can do. Not hate them, in other words. But what I was going to say is that if love should come through you, okay, now let's put it this way. If love is to come into the world, if it's going to come through you, to other people, to your loved one, to your kids, then it won't be your love. It'll be coming through you. It'll be from God. All love is from God. All good is from God. Of yourself, Christ said, of myself I can do nothing. You can't do anything, but you can yearn for what is right, and realize that you don't know what is right, and want to do what's right, and be patient with others, and then love can come through you. When you get your ego out of the way, you become transparent, and love comes through you. Okay? But when you are disconnected from love, when you let go, you're no longer connected, and you move now in an earthy, ambitious, excited, nervous, hasty, hurried kind of a way, or an angry way. When you are tempted to resent another person, there's only one energy other than animal energy, and that's hatred. So you will discover later, you will see, okay, if you continue on this path of discovery, you will see that most of what people do is out of hate. See, a wife resents her husband, judges him, because he's like other men who she hated, boyfriends who took advantage of her, or her father who wasn't there for her. So she resents him. But then she feels guilty for the resentment. So then she tries to make up for it. She's extra nice to him. She does things for him. See? But it's out of hate. It's out of resentment. It's out of judgment. See? It's a compensation. But the basis of it is not love. It's resentment. So a lot of things that people do for each other. That's why when people get together and everybody, family gets together and everybody pretends everything is wonderful, and everybody's laughing, ha ha ha, and see, it's phony. The perceptive people see that there's something false about it. See, there's something false. Okay, it seems good. See, it seems like love. But somehow there's something missing. It's because it's all people resented each other and judged each other and hurt each other and talk behind each other's back. And we're jealous of each other and all of that. And then so from all of that, then the tremendous compensation of being nice, staying on the surface. See, so wouldn't it be better to flow from love? So now you see that that's what love is. So now I'm going to spend just a couple of more minutes giving you a couple of very basic things. These are important. You need to hear these. Now, I talked about why we can't forgive and forget. So now you see the role of resentment. See, now you see why you need objectivity. You need to be able to stand back. And then when you see resentment, you can let it pass. The temptation to resent. Or when you see your own anger rising. See? You see it and you let it pass. You don't add to it. But now, the other thing that prevents people from forgiving and forgetting, it's having the wrong idea. See, separated from love, we also become separated from understanding and from wisdom. So we don't have understanding. We may have book learning, we may have degrees and have taken courses and read a lot of books and studied the Bible and studied psychology and everything, but we don't have understanding. In fact, the more you study, see, to know yourself as God through knowledge, instead of knowing God, you want to know yourself as God, and you see how that disconnects you also from your lodestar of principle and wisdom and understanding and love. So people have a wrong idea what forgiveness means. Remember I talked about the person who resents another or judges the other and then tries to make up for it by being extra nice. Well, that's trying to be nice and supportive is what we think of as love. So people have the wrong idea of what forgiveness is. So now you know what it is not. So now you know how resentment is a stepping away from love, a falling away from love, a movement away from love. So now you see what forgiveness is. It's staying with, bonded to, in touch with, intuition, the inner light. See? Love, patient, love, wisdom. And just observing in that light. So now you see what love is. It's not hating, not judging. So now you see that when you are there, then you don't judge a person in the first place. So you don't have to forgive them in the second place. You don't hate them in the first place. You don't have to forgive them in the second place. You don't resent them in the first place. You don't have to forgive them in the second place. See? Because you didn't judge them. You saw what they did. Okay, maybe you saw it was wrong, or not good, or not nice. Whatever it was, you don't have to pretend you didn't see it. You see it. But you don't hate him. You don't hate the person. See? See how simple that is? You discern. It's the difference between discerning and judging. So now if you could learn to meditate properly, go out in the world and see people, and see that people are lost. They're lost sheep. They don't even know what they're doing. See? They don't realize what they're doing. They think they're doing what's good, and they can't see that it's not good. They think they're moving toward success and happiness, and they're actually working toward their own destruction. They don't even see it. So have compassion on them. Don't feel sorry for them. Just don't hate them. Don't resent them. See? Your mom and your poor unloved mom, and forgive her. In other words, don't resent her. Your dad, don't resent him. He didn't know what he was doing. The world was too much for him. When he was a little boy, someone did him in when he was a little boy. He never recovered. So forgive. Okay? You go out in the world, you see people, or you see someone that was like the dad you hated, or like the mom you hated, or like the teacher you hated. Now you see it's not the same person. You don't resent them. But now how about all the baggage from the past? See, from all of your resentments. Millions. Resentments and judgments and hatreds, and see, all of that has accumulated. Okay? So now do you see why you have to, but now you can see those memories in the light. Now clinging to what is good and what is true, when it surfaces, see, you stand back, mentally stand back and observe it and let it pass. So you don't add to it. So if you struggle with it, you just make it stronger. See? So that's what forgiveness is. So you begin by letting go of your resentments. You see that you hated your dad, and now you see that he couldn't help himself, and you make it unimportant. You don't resent him anymore. And your mom, you don't resent your brother, your sister, teachers, other kids, your first partner. Just make it unimportant by letting go of the resentment. Just let it go. See, you won't see it all at one time. You'll see it a little at a time. You'll see it, and just let it go. Okay? Now you understand. They didn't understand. They didn't have love, just as you. See, you don't have love. You've made a mess out of things too, haven't you? Your relationships and with your kids and your partner and things, because you were resentful and judgmental underneath. You see, and you tried to manipulate, and you messed it all up. Did you really want to mess things up? No, you didn't. See, you didn't. You couldn't help yourself. Okay? But now you can see in the light of what I'm saying. Now you can stop messing up. Okay? Because you have the light there. Now you can see other people, they messed up. They probably didn't even know what they were doing. So forgive. So now what does forgiveness mean? It means not resenting and not judging. It's that simple. So now do you see how people have the wrong idea? They think that forgiveness means that if you forgive someone who did something to you, they think it means that you have to be nice to them, that you have to like them, or that you have to pretend nothing happened, shove everything under the carpet, pretend it didn't happen, okay? Or that you have to have something to do with them, see, and have activities with them and so on. No, it doesn't mean that at all. See? All it means is that you let go of the resentment. You don't resent them. See? You don't hate them. That's all it means. So you can forgive someone and never have anything to do with them again in your life. See? Especially if they're unrepentant. You know, you go to someone and say, hey, you did this and this to me, and it was rotten what you did, but I don't hate you. I hated you, but I don't hate you anymore. I just want you to see what you did and be sorry for it and apologize. Then what you're likely to get is they'll say, oh, what are you talking about? I never did anything. Why, it's your fault, and blah, 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 and you're ungrateful, and you're making it up, and see? And you say, okay, well, you know my number. When you're ready to be sorry and mean it, then give me a call. It's that simple. And then you can walk away. Okay? Shake the dust from your sandals. Walk away with your head held high. See? And you will have triumphed. How? By not resenting. You know, Christ said, resist not evil. Overcome evil with good, it says. Overcome evil with good. So you overcame evil with good, not with yourself. You didn't do anything. You just spoke the truth and were patient. Didn't hate them. See? And then the light came through you. See? And by holding your ground, by not falling to resentment. You were fine. And then by not falling for the additional temptation when they claim that they never did anything and it's all your fault and you're lying and you're ungrateful and you're terrible. See, then you don't fall for that temptation either. See, by just not resenting. Walk away with your head held high and you're free. You're free, see. Well, other people, you know, maybe they did something to you and you say, hey, you did something to me and I used to hate you, but I don't hate you anymore. And they said, yeah, you know, you're right. I did that to you. I'm sorry. I felt bad about all these years. And okay, now you can be friends, okay? Because they're repentant, okay? But you can't force them to be repentant. You can't try to make them repentant. Don't have anything, don't have it pre-planned what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. Just speak the truth, a few words of truth, and then take leave without resentment. But then, if they're repentant, okay, well, then you can have something to do with them if you want to, but you don't have to. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. Once again, you can walk away and have nothing to do with them ever again. Some people who did things to you, hurt you when you were a child, for example, they may be gone now. You can't find them. They're, who knows where they're at, or they're dead, they passed away. Okay, well then you just forgive them in your heart then. You just see what they did, then you hated them, and now you don't hate them anymore. You forgive them in your heart, and you're free. Okay? Now do you understand?